Reliving the War Smackdown, let's do it. The date is September 21st, Smackdown's taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and yeah, I couldn't take a break without leaving you guys with something Reliving the War related, so here you go, a cheeky bonus episode to tie us over. Now, there won't be a Reliving the War video going up next Thursday. I'm good, but I'm not that good. But the following Thursday, on the 31st of July, the Unforgiven pay-per-view review is going to go live on YouTube. I'm not going to waste any more time, so the pay-per-view video is going up a few days early so we can get back into the groove and back on track towards the end of the series. With all that being said, let's get started. The WWF superstars are surrounding the ring. Commissioner Foley stands inside the ropes. No one's admitted to running down Steve Austin at last year's Survivor Series, so it's time for Mick to conduct a thorough investigation. The Rock gets his own special entrance because, well, he thinks he's special. He does. And Mick reiterates what he said 2 weeks ago on Raw. It'll be much easier for the culprit to deal with Commissioner Foley than what it would be dealing with Stone Cold at Unforgiven. And seeing as no one's admitted to knocking down the Texas Rattlesnake, well, Foley's going to throw out a few accusations, and the first person he accuses is The Rock. Again, Rock had a lot to gain from taking Stone Cold out of the picture, and all signs point to The Rock being the culprit. The Rock says he's feeling a little deja vu. He told everyone he didn't do it already. He told Mick and he told Stone Cold. He says it again in plain English so everyone can understand. And seeing as this doesn't seem like enough for Mick Foley, Rock says it again in Swedish.
The Rock didn't run over Stone Cold on the...
He also says it in Chinese just to make sure the Commissioner fully understands what he's saying, and Mick's doing his best to hold back the laughter. This is supposed to be serious business, Rock. Mick says he actually never thought The Rock did it. I guess he just wanted to hear a promo. So Mick points his finger at Triple H. The game takes a slug of his high quality H2O. He steps inside the ring, and Hunter says we've been over this a million times. Triple H did not run over Stone Cold. Hemsley says he did indeed set Stone Cold up for a beating. This is kinda weird and it gets glossed over by the commentators, but he continues on by saying he sets up all his enemies to see them fall. He sets them up to get beaten. Keep this in mind though as our story progresses. According to Hunter, Mick Foley could be going about this all wrong. Maybe the culprit was just a bad driver and there was nothing malicious going on when Austin got hit. Hunter says everyone knows women aren't very good drivers. This gets a pop. And the biggest woman Hunter can see standing around the ring right now is none other than Kurt Angle. It's true, it's true. Kurt's a terrible driver and he's a woman. Angle gets in the ring. He tells everyone to hold on just one moment because Kurt has no motive to take Austin out. Kurt's beating up guys tougher than Stone Cold in the Olympic Games. Angle wouldn't waste his time on a foul-mouthed, beer-drinking poor role model. And Angle says, hey, maybe it was S.A. Rios. Everyone knows it's always the quiet ones. And maybe, just maybe, Stone Cold stole S.A.'s green card. S.A. speaks Spanish and Angle interprets this as, I'm a bad man and I should be punished. It's true, it's true. Kurt then says if it wasn't S.A. then it was Triple H and DX. And so X-Pac gets in the ring to say D-Generation X had nothing to do with it. It's easy to blame DX for things like this, but Pac says he actually knows who did it. There was a guy who just debuted in the WWF when the incident happened, someone who was floundering upon his arrival, and he maybe thought he'd make a name for himself by taking Stone Cold out. And that person is Chris Jericho. Jericho says no, it wasn't Y2J, but Jericho blames X-Pac on setting up the accident and he blames X-Pac on ensuring Austin was in the parking lot moments before the car hit. Jericho then talks more about people who have motives. He talks about someone whose business issues with Stone Cold escalated so much that it became personal. Austin made life hell for the McMahon family, so Stephanie McMahon gets accused. Steph says she, Vince, Shane, and even Test were on the scene when Austin got loaded into the ambulance. There's no way it could have been any of these people, so Stephanie blames someone else, The Undertaker. Undertaker once abducted Stephanie, he's got a black heart. Taker wasn't involved in Survivor Series, so he could have flown under the radar. And Taker says, yeah, it's true. It's true that Stephanie's a sleazy trump. It's not Triple H who defends his wife's honour though, it's Kurt Angle. All hell breaks loose and we've got a brief fight with everyone inside the ring. In the end, it's Taker, Rock and Triple H left inside the ropes. We're no closer to finding out who the culprit is, but still a very entertaining start to Smackdown this week. Tonight, The Rock, Triple H and Undertaker are going to face Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle and Kane in a 6-man tag. Sounds like a good main event. Right now though, we've got Scotty 2 Hotty versus the Right To Censor's Val Venis, and I guess Venis wants to censor Scotty's worm. The big Valboski was no match for the worm anyway, because they compared sizes. Scotty kicks the crap out of Venis in the early going. Val gets sent to the outside, though Scotty misses a baseball slide. He rolls over Venis's back and Val gets put down with a super kick, though Scotty gets distracted when the Goodfather and Bill Buchanan walk down the ramp. This allows Val to take control with a vertical suplex. Grandmaster Sexay comes out to back up his friend. Scotty avoids an elbow drop, but he's unable to avoid Steven Richards holding his leg when he tries to build a comeback, though Venis still gets sent outside with a backdrop and Scotty brings old White Sox into the ring for the worm. Unfortunately, we don't see the most electrifying move in sports entertainment today because Venis makes the save, and Val wins it with his fisherman suplex. The Grandmaster gets in the ring, as do the other members of the RTC, and it's the babyfaces who end up getting laid out. The Right To Censor face the Acolytes and the Dudleys in an 8-man tag at Unforgiven, so make sure you come over in 2 weeks and we'll check it out. Backstage, Triple H congratulates his wife for pinning Test on Raw during their 6-man tag. Steph and Triple H teamed up with Kurt Angle during this match, and Hunter says it was pretty tough seeing as he teamed up with 2 women. He then implies that Angle might be a little too feminine, and this gets further proven when Stephanie receives flowers from Angle. Only a few weeks ago this would have made Triple H freak out, but now he finds it funny. He finds Kurt Angle a very sensitive individual, and Hunter says the bouquet is actually really nice, but they must have been out of pansies. We're going to get our minds totally blown next on Smackdown as Team Extreme come out to, wait for it, cut a promo. I've covered so many episodes of Raw that they all kind of blend into each other these days, but I honestly can't recall the last time I've seen a Hardy Boys promo in the series, and I'm actually beginning to wonder if they've ever cut an in-ring promo in this manner. Matt says the Hardys are facing Edge and Christian in a steel cage this week at Unforgiven. ANC won't embarrass the Hardys anymore after the pay-per-view, and this is when the promo gets interrupted by Edge and Christian. I guess the WWF just don't like the way Jeff and Matt speak. The tag champs are wearing some fetching outfits. They sit back and watch a movie featuring Matt and Jeff in the year 1990 when Matt portrayed the character High Voltage and Jeff portrayed the character of Wolverine. This is a video from the Hardys' very own Backyard Trampoline Wrestling Federation, soon to be known as the Amiga promotion. ANC laugh at a young Matt Hardy cutting a terrible promo. Ed says he doesn't know how it's possible, but Matt's mic skills have actually gotten worse over time, and it's no wonder the WWF don't let the Hardys cut promos. And as for Matt's sick little hand gesture, this must be sign language for dumbass. Here's the Wolverine. Jeff's promo is actually really terrible. I mean, he's just a kid, I know, but my god, it's brutal. Christian says Jeff captured the essence of not having a brain, and it looks like someone took a dump on Jeff's face. The final straw is when Edge and Christian show a video of Matt's ring entrance, and again, the tag champs are totally justified when making fun of this because it's really bad. Is it wrong to laugh at kids just having fun? Is it wrong to point out that these kids are nowhere near ready for the big time? No, it isn't. Fuck them kids. Matt and Jeff run to the back. They want the tape stopped and they want some revenge. What they end up doing is falling right into Edge and Christian's trap, and not only does Lita get her head rocked off a wall and Jeff takes a chair shot, but Matt takes a concerto that knocks him out cold. This would have been the perfect time for High Voltage and Wolverine to make their WWF debuts. They could have entered the steel cage at Unforgiven instead of Matt and Jeff. A missed opportunity if you ask me. Tonight, European champion Al Snow represents Spain, and before you get all pissy, piñatas and sombreros are of Spanish origin, not Mexican. He does have a picture of Ricardo Montalban though, who is Mexican, but we'll just ignore that. I think the WWF are just mixing up Spanish and Mexican here because it's the easy thing to do. You know what's not easy though? Trying to beat Steve Blackman in a hardcore match, yet this mad bastard Al Snow is going to try. Blackman gets attacked with Senior Al's piñata, which must have hurt a terrible lot. Snow goes out to grab some toys, while Michael Cole reminds fans that Raw will be on TNN next week and not the USA Network. Snow fills the ring up, yet he still ends up going for the ring steps, and Sensei Steve whacks those fuckers with a steel chair, and our boy grabs his Eskrima sticks. Time to meet your maker, Al Snow. But wait, here comes Perry Saturn with his own referee. Saturn attacks both Al and Blackman. He performs a Northern Light suplex. Test then comes out with his own referee, and so the 24/7 rule is back in business. Albert comes out next. Everyone's got their own personal official. It would take 4 people to pry the hardcore belt out of Blackman's big manly hands, but guess what? No one, let alone these jack-offs, are gonna beat Steve tonight on SmackDown. We also get an appearance from Crash Holly, and fans thought Crash had it won. Steve thought otherwise. Kai and Ty are here too, and the odds aren't in Sensei's favour. In the end though, Blackman throws a trash can at Taka, and he kicks it so hard that Taka changed nationality. Steve retains his hardcore belt. I didn't expect anything less. Steve Austin joins us via satellite, and Stone Cold isn't surprised that the yellow bastard who ran him down hasn't come forward. Austin's going to roll into Unforgiven. He's going to open up his own personal investigation while promising to open something else up. His butthole? No, a can of whoop ass. Everyone's a suspect in Steve Austin's book, and in Austin's court of law, you're guilty until proven innocent. Shane McMahon makes a surprise appearance inside the arena. He's back after getting completely mangled by Steve Blackman, and Shane says he didn't know how bad his injuries were after facing the Lethal Weapon at SummerSlam. I mean, what did you think was going to happen, Shane? The boy wonder's been rehabbing at home, and through his rehab, Shane found some inspiration, and that inspiration was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin was hit with a speeding automobile and he's ready to come back. If Stone Cold can come over this massive obstacle, then Shane can make a comeback too. So Shane loves Stone Cold and he promises to help Austin at Unforgiven. Shane clarifies that he had nothing to do with Austin getting hit. He shows video footage of the McMahon family rushing to Stone Cold's aid, and Shane says he's going to show everyone who took Stone Cold out. McMahon Jr. seemingly done his own investigation. He knows who was behind the wheel, and Shane's going to reveal his findings to Stone Cold at Unforgiven. Triple H found Shane's promo very interesting. Shane said after SummerSlam he was at the hospital all alone, but apparently Stephanie told Triple H that she was with Shane that night and she sat at his bedside. Steph says Shane probably can't remember what happened and he was probably all confused after going toe-to-toe with Sensei Blackman. And even though Triple H says okay, you can tell that he's maybe second guessing his wife. I don't think he actually believes her. Tazz said 2 weeks ago he was done and he wanted out of the WWF. Mick Foley managed to change Tazz's mind when he booked him in a strap match against Jerry Lawler at Unforgiven. Tonight, Lawler's going to team up with Y2J to take on Tazz and X-Pac, and keep in mind that Jericho and Pac have a match at Unforgiven too. Foley said Tazz and Lawler couldn't touch each other before the strap match, but that was waived for this matchup, though it's Jericho bringing it to Tazz in the early going with a flying forearm and a facebuster. Lawler gets in the ring, Tazz tags out. Kid shows off some karate skills, but karate skills mean nothing if you get punched in the jaw. Waltman is no Steve Blackman. And moments later, X-Pac gets set up for the King's piledriver, but Tazz ensures it doesn't happen. Pac goes for the Bronco Buster, Lawler gets a foot up. Jericho tags in and he's on fire here when bringing it to X-Pac, but Tazz provides a distraction and Jericho takes a spinning back kick. In comes Tazz, he takes an enziguri. Lawler comes in and when Pac once again gets set up for a piledriver, Tazz hits the King with a leather strap. The referee calls for a DQ. Y2J uses the strap on X-Pac before these two head up the ramp. Lawler ends up taking more punishment from Tazz and he gets choked out. So Lawler won't be providing commentary for the remainder of our show. Jim Ross is going to take over for the last part of the broadcast. Chyna's angry at Eddie Guerrero. She's angry that Eddie left her all alone in the ring to take the banzai drop on Raw even when Eddie could have helped, and Guerrero says he didn't know Rikishi would actually do it. Chyna and Rikishi are good friends, so Eddie thought Rikishi was just playing around. Chyna is not buying this excuse. She's throwing shit around the room and she says she's sick of Eddie's lies, she's sick of Eddie's temper, and this isn't the same Eddie Guerrero Chyna fell in love with. So Eddie makes his way down to the ring and he's going to try and win Chyna back. Guerrero wants to clear the air in front of the entire world, so before Chyna walks out of Eddie's life for good, Latino Heat wants one more opportunity to explain himself. Mamacita comes out, Eddie hands her some hand-picked roses straight from the gas station and Chyna uses them to whack Eddie. It's not a good start. Guerrero explains that he's been acting terribly recently because he's afraid of losing Chyna. Chyna says she's heard it all before. And so Eddie gets low by saying Chyna is the ninth wonder of the world. She's a superstar while Eddie Guerrero's nothing. There's nothing Eddie can offer Chyna and there's nothing he can give Chyna. But she says all she ever wanted was Eddie's love. Sure, last week Eddie may have rocked up to the Playboy Mansion and made an ass of himself. He was upset that he has to share Chyna with the rest of the world thanks to that Playboy shoot, but Eddie wants to prove he's gotten over it by showing everyone the cover of Chyna's magazine. Eddie's actually proud of his mamacita, and yeah, Chyna buys it, hook, line and sinker. Out comes Rikishi, wearing his Rikishi fatwear, and he accuses Eddie of filling Chyna's head with lies. Rikishi chose not to seriously hurt Chyna on Raw. He gave Eddie a chance to come and help, but what happened on Monday proves that Eddie's no good for Chyna, and the world knows it too. Eddie tells Rikishi to mind his own business. Rikishi mimics Eddie before calling him a burrito, and Rikishi has a videotape he wants to show Chyna. Rikishi's good buddies with the security dudes at the Playboy Mansion, and this tape shows Eddie freaking out at the guards while inside the home of Hefner. Eddie said he wanted to destroy the photos before the magazine hit store shelves on Monday, and this deeply hurts Mamacita. Eddie says he wasn't thinking straight. He resorts to making little weeping noises as he tries to make up excuses. Chyna says she can't take this anymore, and so Latino Heat gets on his knees like a lost little puppy dog. Eddie says he can't picture a world without Chyna. There's no reason for Eddie to live if Chyna leaves him. He then reaches into his pocket and oh shit.
Will you marry me?
What?
Oh, what is Chyna gonna do? The crowd chant just say no. Chyna's still upset. Latino Heat's thrown quite the Hail Mary here, but Chyna ends up accepting Eddie's proposal and the crowd boos. Eddie has once again wormed his way out of trouble, but the cost seems very, very high this time around. Is Latino Heat really ready to commit, or is he just trying to save his ass for another week? Smackdown took a commercial break, and when we came back, a match was already underway. The APA versus Bill Buchanan and the Goodfather. Val Venis pulled Farouk out of the ring. Too Cool ran down to take care of Mr. Venis. And just like that, Bradshaw wins after hitting B squared with a clothesline from hell. The RTC refocused after the bell and the babyfaces got wiped out. JR said the numbers were against Too Cool and the Acolytes, which was an absolute lie, but never worry. The Dudleys run down and the Right to Censor get out of the ring. It took 6 babyfaces to beat up the Right to Censor here, never forget. What follows is something way, way better than the action we just got treated to in the ring. The Dudleys and the APA join Too Cool for a post-match dance, and the Acolytes are the stars of the show here. Farouk's doing just fine and dandy, and we think Bradshaw's maybe a bit reserved, or perhaps just a really shit dancer. But he then starts giving it the Texas two-step, he begins moonwalking, and he gives it his best when performing a spinneroonie. It wasn't pretty, but God loves a trier. Well done, JBL. Main event time, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit and Kane versus The Undertaker, Triple H and The Rock. JR gives it the old "can these men coexist" line. It is interesting seeing Triple H on the babyface team, and remember too that 4 out of these 6 men are involved in the WWF title match at Unforgiven. But we start off with Triple H being a good little teammate as he brings it to Chris Benoit. The Crippler takes a Hardy Race knee, though Benoit comes back with a stun gun. Benoit then tags out by chopping the Big Red Machine, and Kane didn't appreciate this too much. Kurt Angle tries to break these two up. We don't need any dissension this early in the match, so Kane uppercuts Angle, and I guess Kurt's now the legal man. Hunter goes for a pedigree, Angle counters, the game kicks Angle into the corner, and Kurt falls slowly into Hunter's crotch. Triple H gets up, he looks a bit freaked out, he tags out right away because the game don't play like that. So in comes The Undertaker while Benoit tags in. JR declares that Angle's sexuality is a non-factor, but Triple H didn't think so. Benoit gets wheeled in the corner, we see a power slam from the dead man, The Undertaker shouts old school before walking along the top rope, and Benoit takes another shot. A distraction from the heel corner allows Benoit to perform a back suplex, and when the dead man finds himself tied up in the ropes, Kane comes in to deliver more punishment. A perfect opportunity right here. Taker frees himself with a big boot, Kane replies with a clothesline. Here comes The Undertaker with a DDT, and here comes a huge pop as the Great One tags in. A big flurry of right hands has no effect on Kane. Rocky goes down after a big boot, but he stays resilient and he's able to plant Kane with a spinebuster. No people's elbow though as Benoit comes in for a cheap shot. In comes Kurt Angle, he puts Rock down with a side suplex before delivering some of those crisp right hands. Does Angle get any credit for his work punches? Because he absolutely should. In comes Triple H all fired up. These two face each other at Unforgiven, so the game wants a head start. Angle takes a neckbreaker, he telegraphs a backdrop, and he takes a facebreaker knee smash. And when Benoit comes in to offer some help, The Rock goes after him and these two fight on the outside. Inside the ring, Angle takes a pedigree. Hunter, though, takes a chokeslam. The Undertaker comes in to get his brother out, but this was maybe a mistake. Benoit and Kane join forces to attack The Rock all the way up the ramp, though eventually Taker heads up to help his teammate. Officials come out and the heels decide to head to the back. The Undertaker decides to hop on his tricycle and he almost runs Rock over. You know, Taker should now be the prime suspect in this whole Austin investigation. He has no issues hitting people at high speed. It's only Triple H and Angle inside the ring. Stephanie gets on the apron as the match continues on. Hunter ends up throwing Kurt right into his wife, and this allows him to win after a schoolboy pin. And Triple H gets in Kurt's face when celebrating. It looks like Triple H is really happy with this victory. Angle takes it bad. He delivers the Olympic slam before heading out of the ring. Kurt then grabs Triple H's very own sledgehammer, and back in the ring, the game takes a shot. Stephanie tries to stop Kurt from doing any more damage. Angle decides he should give Steph a big old kiss. So Angle's assaulting everyone tonight. This man does not care anymore. He grabs a mic and he tells Hunter to ask his wife if Kurt kisses like a pansy, and he asks Hunter who's crying now. That's our show over, ladies and gents. A nice little setup here for the pay-per-view, with Kurt making this rivalry even more personal. Hope you enjoyed this look at Smackdown, and I hope it scratches the itch until the next episode of Reliving the War. Again, next week there won't be an RTW video going up on Thursday, but the following week we've got Unforgiven a little early, so hopefully this is enough to get you by. Leave your comments and I'll be sure to check them when I get back to the PC. Thanks for watching everyone, look after yourselves out there, and I'll see you all again very soon.